Hey guys, it's me, your faithful host, Let's Play Dark Souls HD, and welcome to my in-depth playthrough for Elden Ring. So just like the title suggests, the idea behind this playthrough is to go as in-depth as possible with the lore, the NPC quest lines, the bosses, the secret areas, and everything else that Elden Ring has to offer, which consequently is a lot. So for this playthrough, I'm going to choose the Confessor for my starting class, and I'll tell you why. The Confessor is pretty ideal for just about anybody. It offers a lot of versatility for whatever build you're going for, but I'm going to go for Strength and Faith in particular, because that seems to be what works best for me in this game. It's a really fun playstyle, and that's what I'll be doing in this playthrough. The other reason that this is a smart class to pick is because if you intend to beat the Grafted Scion, which is the very first guy that kills absolutely everybody on their first try, this is the class you want to pick. So, if getting the sword and shield of the Grafted Scion is an important thing to you in your playthrough, pick the Confessor. And you'll see why. I'll show you. So we're going for like a female paladin type build. We'll name her Cassandra. That seems like an okay female paladin name to me. And for the starting gift, we're going to go with the Stone Sword Key. And the reason I'm choosing this for the keepsake is because it's the most usable early item, as in we're going to use it almost at the very beginning of the playthrough to help give us a little bit extra equipment, and which will give us a leg up and make things go that much smoother. And to save everybody the trouble of my painful female character creations from my other playthroughs, Demon Souls, I made a preset to save everyone the pain. So here's our Confessor, Cassandra. We're going to choose the Stone Sword Key for our keepsake. Let's do it.
The fallen leaves tell a story. Elden Ring was shattered. In our home, across the fog, the lands between. Now, Queen Marika the Eternal is nowhere to be found. And in the night of the Black Knives, Godwyn the Golden was first to perish. Soon, Marika's offspring, demigods all, claimed the shards of the Elden Ring. The mad taint of their newfound strength triggered the shattering. A war from which no lord arose. A war leading to abandonment by the greater will. Oh, rise now, ye tarnished, ye dead who yet live. The call of long-lost grace speaks to us all. Horalu, chieftain of the Badlands, the ever-brilliant Gold Mask. Fear, the deathbed companion, the loathsome dung-eater. and Sir Gideon Othmere, the all-knowing. And one other, whom grace would again bless. A tarnished of no renown. Cross the fog to the lands between. To stand before the Elden Ring. And become the Elden Lord.
Alright, folks, sharpen your resumes, because it's time to become Elden Lord, whatever that means. So, the first thing, you get thrown into this destroyed church, is what it looks like. There's an altar here, which looks like it could be America, perhaps. And there's a treasure chest up here. You can kind of see it glowing up there. And unfortunately, there's no way to get that on this trip to the tutorial area. But later we'll be able to come back and get it. So we'll pick up our tarnished wizened finger, which is just our message item here. Though the path be broken and uncertain, claim your place as Elden Lord. So this is the first thing I'm going to point out in this playthrough. This is an interesting corpse to pick this item up off of, because this is not your typical corpse that you loot things off of. Some of you know what I mean. The corpse is usually zombified. It's usually decomposed and dried out. It looks like it's been there for a very long time. This woman looks freshly dead. It's almost like she died right as we spawned in. And this is important, because this is a finger maiden. And the reason I'm pointing that out to you is because later we're going to start a questline where we loot specific items off of finger maiden corpses in particular that look just like this one. But we'll talk more about that when we get to that questline. So let's talk about the storytelling in the intro sequence. We are tarnished. And tarnished is an interesting adjective to put on a person. Usually, it's things that are tarnished, not people. Like reputations can be tarnished, and so can shiny things that people are proud of. But we are a person, and we're being referred to as tarnished. And we need to think about what that means. Because he says, "Tarnished, ye dead who yet live." And that suggests that we were dead before this. Now, this is the door that would normally go to that chest, but it's blocked. You can't destroy it or break it open. There's nothing we can do. We're going to have to come back for it later. And that, out in front of us there, is Stormvale Castle, which is our first legacy dungeon. I'm really excited to go through that part with you guys and share my thoughts on it. But there's really nothing here in the tutorial. You can't loot anything. The only thing you can really do is get your ass kicked if you're not prepared. So I want to talk about the intro sequence a little bit more before we fight the Grafted Scion. It talks about how the Elden Ring was shattered and the offspring of America collected shards of it. It sounds pretty similar to Dark Souls, right? About how the soul of Gwyn was shattered, and his descendants collected shards of it, like Nito and the Sisters of Chaos and the Four Kings. And it sounds kind of similar to what's happening in this. You've got these Lord Soul shards, so to speak, that are powering up these beings of demigod status. And it all originated with her, this statue of America here. And that's exactly how she was depicted in the intro cinematic, just like that. So, just think about that. We're tarnished, supposedly we were dead, and now we're alive, and the only thing we know is that we're supposed to become Elden Lord. I don't know what that is, but I hope it pays well. Now we're going to talk about how to beat the Grafted Scion. Well, first things first, whiff. Let's talk about this guy's attacks. You want to stay about this close to him, you know? Keep your medium distance is really what you want to shoot for. You don't want to be close to him, but you don't want to get far away either. What you want to watch for is this attack. Wait for his final hit in that combo, roll underneath it, and punish him with a rolling light attack. It's a relatively safe strategy, it takes a lot of patience, but always, always, always keep your shield up. No matter how far away he is from you, no matter how safe you feel, never ever drop your shield against this boss. That double spin attack is ideal to punish. That shield slam is not, because as you can see, he recovered immediately into a combo. Never attack after that either. When he does the double roll, where he kind of swivels across the ground, he 100% always recovers after that attack. You're dead. Wait for this opening right here. Never roll too early if he follows up with this stabbing combo. You see how I kind of waited for the stab to happen? If you roll too early, he'll catch you. So wait for that first stab if he follows up with that combo. This is what you want. Do not punish any form of shield attack. And again, you see the importance of keeping your shield up? He followed up really quick. And again, kind of wait for it. This game really, really loves wind-ups. They like making you roll early so they can clip you. And don't fall for it with this guy. And his range is super deceptive. I mean, you see how the one attack, it really does seem like he's going to go right into you with those swords, but he doesn't. Roll late with that jump. It's a really nasty attack and it does a lot of damage if you get hit. You can choose not to punish it altogether because it's just one opening, and as long as you're patient, you're not going to run out of time or anything. So again, stay right around medium distance with this guy, because the goal is not to block his attacks, it's to stay perfectly out of range of them, and only block if he just consequently hits you from being too close. So as long as you stay relatively patient against this guy, you can beat him. And you don't exactly have a whole lot of room for error. This is a great shield that the Confessor starts with. It'll block 100% physical damage as well as a crap ton of holy damage, which he also uses. But if you do get hit and take some damage, you can always get some space from the boss, and you can use the urgent heal, which we start with. I'll show you if he hits me. Ideally, I would like to not get hit, but in the event that I do, I'll show you a safe way to pull off the heal. So this is kind of why I was stressing that this is a great class to start with if you want to beat this guy. You have just about as much room for error as you possibly can with any starting class. Alright, so now he's going to buff. This buff looks scary, but that's all it is. It is entirely meant to scare you. So you notice he does practically no chip damage through the shield. I mean, at the end of the day, you ideally don't want to get hit by any of his attacks to begin with, but if he hits you while he's got the buff, he's doing almost no extra damage whatsoever. You're not really in any additional danger. Alright, so I was hit. I'm going to show you guys the urgent heal. Wait for him to be in the middle of a combo like that, run far away, and cast it. Then get your shield back out immediately. Alright, I'm going to cast one more time. Now, he does have the ability to sprint at you and close some distance pretty quick, but even if he's moving as fast as he possibly can towards you, you still have plenty of time. So if you need to heal, don't sweat it. And again, pay attention to my timing on that attack. It's very important to not roll early. And again, if you see an opportunity to attack but you've been hit, never be afraid to run away and heal. Sometimes it's the smartest thing to do, because you only get one shot with this guy. Let me do it one more time. Alright. So now I have significantly more room for error than any other starting class, because other starting classes can't heal. So again, he's going for the buff, and this is totally fine, because he's not really going to be able to hurt you through your shield, even with the buff. And we're just going to do our thing. We're going to maintain medium distance from him, let him do this combo, and we're going to punish the last hit. And keep your shield up. That's it, big guy. You know what I want. Yeah, that's it. Scream all day. Free damage. Ugh. Come on. You keep doing things I can punish and we're good. And he won't always follow up with those last two hits. If he doesn't follow up with the last two swings, like you've seen me punish, don't attack him. You only ever want to punish this if he finishes the combo like this. Oh man, that would have been perfect. I was not close enough though. You've got to be a good judge of distance here. Because if you try to punish at the wrong time, that's it. You don't get a second chance to fight him. And just like that, patience is all it takes. And you get the ornamental straight sword and the golden beast crest shield. Let's take a look at these. So this weapon, I don't have the stats to use this weapon just yet, but I will soon. I only have to invest 2 levels to use it because I'm just 2 points shy of dexterity. Slender straight sword patterned after an antique ornament. Superior swordsmen prefer to wield one in each hand. After falling from grace, the dregs of the golden lineage sought power and purpose in the past. And it has a unique skill, the golden tempering, which essentially just buffs the weapon with holy damage, and it will significantly increase your attack rating. And then we have this guy, the golden beast crest shield. Shield of dull gold with a beast engraved as its crest, lighter than most great shields and subsequently easier to wield. The beast depicted is Sarosh, aged counselor who guides the golden lineage. Sarosh is actually a being that we're going to encounter, which is very, very cool. And this shield is heavy. It's 12.5 units versus our 3.5 units. It's 9 whole extra units. It's kind of a big boy. And it needs 24 points of strength, but it's very good. I mean, if you make a basic comparison here, we have 50 guard boost, or it's called stability in other games. It's essentially your shield's ability to stop attacks. It's going to determine how much stamina you lose when you block things, and whether or not enemies are going to bounce off your shield when you block their attacks. This has 60. That's 10 extra points. It doesn't sound crazy in the grand scheme of things, but you notice when I highlight this great shield, all of my resistances are blue, which means that this shield blocks significantly more of all of them. So it's not something I really intend to use. I was more interested in the sword, but just to give you like an idea of why I want to use this sword, it's one-handed right now, but you power stance it. You get 2 of them, and then suddenly your attacks are entirely different. This is a very, very good weapon to have in the beginning of the game. It's just not easy to get. And since we've beat the boss, not only do we have a really, really nice weapon that's going to serve us well in the beginning of our playthrough, but we got 3,200 runes for beating him. And I want to point something out that really, really pisses me off in the tutorial level. Some of you know exactly where I'm going and what I'm about to say. Others of you may not. This. Why in the hell would they not open this frickin' door if you beat the boss? Like, that's what they should have done. They should have given you access to that chest, because later on you're going to find out that there's something really, really damn good in that chest that would be so awesome to have in the beginning of your playthrough. But no. I'll take the fancy sword and shield and the extra runes, but I don't know. Shame on you, FromSoft. You should have unlocked that damn door to give us that chest if we were good enough to beat the boss. So from this point, you're honestly good to run straight through. There's these little guys here, these nascent butterflies. But we're not going to be able to do anything with those yet because it's a crafting item. Or, well, it's not an item. They're butterflies. They're living things. We'll call it a crafting material. But we can't do anything with them yet because we have to unlock the recipe book that uses them. And you see more butterflies, right? You're thinking, hey, butterflies. It's a trap. You're going to die anyway. Doesn't matter.
Don't worry, Torrent. Fortune is on her side. We found her here after all. One of her kind is sure to seek the Elden Ring. Even if it does violate the Golden Order.
So there's an interesting sneak peek into the lore, just a little bit further, is that we just learned that I guess it violates this Golden Order for Tarnished to seek the seat of Elden Lord. And that's definitely something that I intend to pay attention to and learn a little bit more about over the course of the playthrough. So we now have our flask of Crimson Tears and our flask of Cerulean Tears. And our Crimson Tears are essentially going to be our Estus flask. They're red, so they'll heal the red bar, which is your health. And then the Cerulean Tears heal, well, not heal, but refill your blue bar, or your focus points, or your FP. You can call it whatever you want. So, before we progress into the tutorial area, let's talk a little bit more about how our character is equipped, because you can't see these things when you're selecting the character. The Confessioner starts with a broadsword, which is not a particularly good weapon, but it'll do. It's got decent enough reach, it's got an okay moveset, it's relatively fast, but we have to be smart with this weapon because it's not meant to break poise or tank. It is meant to be used strategically from medium range. This is going to be the highlight of this starting class, the Blue Crest Heater Shield. It blocks 50% holy damage, which really is only relevant against the boss we just beat. We're not going to run into very many early enemies that do holy damage, but it's got 50 stability, which old habits die hard. You guys are going to hear me call talismans rings, you're going to hear me call runes souls, and you're going to hear me call the cerulean tears Estus, you know. But guard boost is something that I still call stability, just by habit. So just know that that's what I'm talking about if you hear me say stability. This is a great shield. I'm going to use it pretty often. It's probably going to be my main shield for the majority of the game because it's just straight up good. The other thing is this. Our armor set. This is one of the best starting armor sets out of any of the starting classes. It's got great defense, it's got excellent resistance, and it even has a little bit of poise. So we can hopefully win a couple skirmishes by trading with enemies in unwanted situations. And the only things that we start with are the Memory of Grace and our finger that we picked up off of the Finger Maiden. And then we also have our Finger Seal, which is our talisman. It's called a Sacred Seal in this game. It's called Talisman in other Souls games. And it's okay. It's the basic one. And conveniently enough, you'll notice that we still have our 3,200 runes, even though we died. So this developer message says, the Cave of Knowledge lies below. And this guy here, this is kind of a kindred spirit that you will see all across the game. I don't think these are all the same person, they just look the same, but you can communicate with virtually all of them. Of learning and remembrance, recall the arts of war and your warrior's blood. I don't know, that's my ghost voice. Leave me the fuck alone. Alright, so he said, take the plunge, which we're gonna. There's an item up there. There's an item back there. And we're gonna get them both. That one. Maybe not that one. I'm pretty sure that one is later in the playthrough, but definitely that guy. So we'll do this first ledge, and then we'll aim for these coffins. And I'm not going to get super in-depth with this tutorial area because that's the developer's job. They leave plenty of messages around telling you what to do, the controls and everything. There's a reason that there is no tutorial leading up to the Grafted Scion, because you're supposed to die to that guy. I mean, he's like the Vanguard in Demon Souls. You're not supposed to beat him, but you can. So, I'm just gonna, like, bulldoze through these guys, you know? Like, I'm not super worried about going in depth on this area. I'm just gonna kill them for the extra runes. And one other thing to be super, super conscious of is don't get too crazy if you beat the Grafted Scion. He is difficult, and you are super freaking cool and awesome for beating him if you did. Congratulations. Proud of you. But, okay, look, man. Let me break your guard. Come on now. I need you to attack first, please. There we go. Oh, that's one of my favorite features in this game. God, you're gonna see me use the shit out of that. Oh, the guard counter. It's so satisfying. But, what was I saying? Oh yeah. Don't get too crazy just because you beat the Grafted Scion. You're gonna have a lot of runes on you, and 3,200 runes is not like a lot. You know, you're not like the Bill Gates of Elden Ring with that many. But it's enough to where if you die twice because you were sloppy or greedy or whatever caused you to die, you're going to regret it because it's going to be a couple levels. So please, please, do yourself a favor. survive long enough to get to the point where you meet Melina, and we can actually start using your runes to level up, and you'll be glad you did. Okay, I really don't know what they had in mind for this area, 'cause, I mean, I just know that if you try to backstab this guy, it doesn't work, and then he stands up. I like to point that out. It's kind of weird. You're supposed to be able to get a critical on people that are on the ground, but I don't think it works if they're rummaging through dirt. I think they want to show off the sneak, which, believe me, I'm going to take advantage of the stealth system in this game. It is super duper cool. It's very satisfying to use, and I'm going to show you some really smart ways to use it in this playthrough. Oh, that's right, we have the parry on this shield. I may as well try to parry this guy. That's one thing I really don't do in this game. Because of that, I suck. But it doesn't matter, because that guy is buffed for the sake of allowing you the satisfaction of the riposte. Now, this statue right here, this is called a Stake of America, and these are important. These are like miniature checkpoints for when your site of grace / bonfire is way too far away from the boss, and you want to start a little bit closer. If you die to a boss, or in general, you'll get the selection of picking between the Stake of America or your last site of grace. Sometimes picking this is the right item because, I'll give you an example. We're going to go through this fog gate, and we're going to fight this joke-ass boss that's like, shouldn't even be a boss because he's such a joke. But if we were to die to him, we could choose to spawn right here in front of the fog gate to avoid the shitty run back through all those weaklings. Because the site of grace we unlocked is like all the way back down those twists and turns that we just went through. But I want to point out a lore aspect to this. This statue is what was shown in the cutscene as soon as that guy started mentioning the Tarnished. So I think this Stake of America is very, very important and symbolic to the truth and the story behind the Tarnished. So this guy we're just going to completely steamroll because, I don't know. I have no mercy against this guy. Yeah, that's about how I feel about him. They called him a boss, and this is literally going to be like the typical enemy that you're going to fight as soon as you get out into the world, is those soldiers of Godric. Those are literally going to be the first enemies we fight. I don't know. Maybe I'm being critical here, but... And we got strength, which... I'm not going to bother equipping that. There are going to be some gestures, or emotes, whatever you'd like to call them, that are going to be kind of important to some of the NPCs, but that's not one of them. And the significance of this is that this is part of the Erd Tree. I think the reason that they show this to you so early in the playthrough is specifically because you're going to want to know what these look like and how to identify them out in the lands between once we go through these doors. Because anytime you find these out in the open world, it's going to be time to celebrate because they have golden seeds, which you can choose one of those for your starting gift. I didn't, but I'll be able to locate them no problem. And they're important because they upgrade your flask, which will allow you to carry more of them. And more healing items is always better because this game can be super duper unforgiving. So we're going to collect this because we're going to want to come back here at some point. Not right now. This is not going to be the fanged imp that I'm going to waste my stone sword keys on, which I'll explain that now. We'll take a look at our key items. A sword-shaped stone key breaks the seal on imp statues but remains embedded in the statue after use, meaning it can only be used once as an item. Think well before using one. I appreciate them telling new players that in the item description, but you really don't need to be super stingy with these. I mean, you can find tons of them across the playthrough, and you almost never don't have enough. That's a fact. As long as you explore, and as long as you're thorough in the areas that you're running through, you can find these keys just about everywhere, and you'll never not have enough. I'm not going to use the ones that I chose for my starting gift to unlock this one, because this is an optional area that is really, really fucking difficult, and I hate it. But we're going to come back for it at some point. And then we get 2 multiplayer items here, which are not super important to us. Not right now. What is important is that we get to step out into the lands between for the first time on this character. And believe me, ladies and gentlemen, this is a moment to savor on every character. Welcome to Limgrave. It's beautiful. You're greeted by a sight of grace, and theoretically friendly individual. Vare is his name. We'll learn quite a bit about him in this playthrough. And then you got that guy. That is the Tree Sentinel. Listen to me. Do not fight the Tree Sentinel as soon as you come out here. Just don't do it. Like, I'm not your dad. I can't tell you what to do. But like any good dad would, I won't tell you to do something that will end terribly. So just listen to me. So we're going to grab our Sight of Grace first. And then you'll notice this gold sort of beam, this Guidance of Grace is what they call it in this game, and it will point the direction that you should be persevering in over the course of your playthrough. This is the game's way of saying, hey, you should go that way. That's where the story is telling you to go. Because when you get thrown into a game like this that has virtually no discernible plot, sometimes you get confused. And that's one of everybody's biggest complaints with this game, is the progression and the sense of direction is absent. And I totally feel that, because I felt that way at one point too. But don't worry, your boy LP's got your back. I'm going to show you the ideal way to progress in this game as if it were my second or third playthrough.
Oh yes, tarnished are we? Come to the lands between for the Elden Ring? Of course you have. No shame in it. Unfortunately for you, however, you are maidenless. Without guidance, without the strength of runes, and without an invitation to the Round Table Hold, you are fated, it seems, to die in obscurity.
Interesting. So the first thing Vare tells you is that you don't got no bitches. That's essentially what he says. But if you keep talking to him...
Luckily for you, however, there is one shining ray of hope for even the maidenless. Me. Vare. Take care to listen. Are you familiar with grace? The golden light that gives life to you tarnished. You may also behold its golden rays, pointing in a particular direction at times. That is the guidance of grace, a path that a tarnished must travel. Indeed. Grace's guidance holds the answers. It will lead you tarnished to the path you are meant to follow, even if it leads you to your grave.
So let's talk about the importance of this dialogue. He's essentially telling you exactly what I said. The guidance of grace is pointing in that direction. We can see it flowing. And he says it guides us tarnished in the direction that we're meant to go. But one thing that cannot be overlooked in this game is that you will be rewarded for exploring. So we're not going to be following the direction of the guidance of grace for probably the majority of this series. I would much rather be super thorough and comb through every square inch of this game then just follow the path and blast through the main bosses.
Grace's guidance will reveal the path forward, most certainly. To Castle Stormvale, over on the cliff, the home of the decrepit demigod, Godric the Grafted. It's time you set off, I should think. To Castle Stormvale on the cliff, where Grace would guide you. If you seek the Elden Ring, maidenless as you are. It's time you set off, I should think. To Castle, if you seek...
And there you have it. Your very first sense of direction in this game, similar to the crestfallen guy in Dark Souls who says, you need to go ring the bells of awakening. That's what this guy's telling us. He's saying that we need to go all the way up there to Castle Stormvale on the cliff, and we need to go fight Godric, the demigod. And it seems legit. That's where the guidance of Grace is pointing, right? Wrong. That is absolutely 150% not the first thing that you want to do in this playthrough. Just because this jackass is telling you to go do it, and just because the fancy light is pointing in that direction, does not mean that that's what you need to do. And if you choose for yourself to go elsewhere and not do that, I think you'll have a much more pleasant experience in this game. Because that, in itself, is probably the most controversial thing about the beginning of Elden Ring. Which, that's just another multiplayer item that we picked up. It's not important for us. The controversy is that a lot of people go straight into Stormvale, and then they run face first into Margit, the Fell Omen, and then they get destroyed. And then they're like, this game's too hard. And next thing you know, you've got somebody who is really excited for Elden Ring having a really, really poor experience. I'm going to show you guys how to not suffer that fate. So let's take a closer look at the Tree Sentinel without aggroing him. I'm going to hide in these bushes like a coward. Do you see how foreboding this guy is? I know I already stressed to you not to fight him, and hopefully you listened, but this guy's bad, bad news. We don't want to fight him until significantly later in the game. We do want to fight him, make no mistake of that. This guy is on my shit list, and he must die relatively soon, because that there halberd is my favorite weapon in the game. Before anybody talks any shit, oh, it's overpowered, is it? No, it's not. It's a perfectly balanced weapon. It's just a smart weapon. It's really, really damn good. It has its flaws, and it's got a giant list of weaknesses, and there's a million ways to outclass it in PvP, but as far as PvE goes, from a solo player experience who doesn't plan on summoning phantoms or other players, it's a great weapon. So we are at the Church of LA. I'm going to open our map here. Oh my goodness. Looking at a brand new map versus like my map on my normal character, this is crazy. So I'm going to point out one really important thing about the map. And sorry if you guys are super bored at this point because I'm not doing enough fighting and I'm basically blabbering the whole time. There's just a lot to cover in this game, so bear with me. Right here. These little spots, it looks kind of like a tombstone, I guess you could say. They're barely visible, but they're all over the map in different places. The reason it's important to find these when you don't have a map piece yet is because that's where your map piece is going to be. So, if you're progressing through an area that you don't have the map for, like if your map is still blurry and grayed out like this one, all you have to do is find this little tall-looking tombstone piece, and that's where your map fragment is going to be. And I will point out each of them before we actually pick up the map fragments, so you can see what I mean, and I'll show you how to find them on the map. So we're going to grab this Grace, and we're at full health, so we don't really need to rest at it. And now we're going to grab our first smithing stone. And you can use this smithing table to strengthen your equipment. We cannot, though. So we need 2 smithing stones in order to upgrade any of our given equipment, but we're not going to upgrade these items. Like, not a single one of them. We are probably going to upgrade this guy one time, but if you read, this one needs a somber smithing stone, which is a totally different upgrade item. It's a higher tier of weapon, so it costs a rarer material to upgrade it. It subsequently requires less of them, which is good, but once we dive further into the upgrading process and start talking about scaling and damage and builds and stuff like that, that's when I'll do a deeper dive into the upgrade system and really explain that stuff. So the smithing table is not necessarily any good to us right now, which is fine because we just started, but we are going to talk to the merchant here, which kind of looks like Santa Claus.
You're a tarnished. I can see it, but I can also see that you're not after my throat. Then why not purchase a little something? I am Kale, purveyor of fine goods.
Alright, so when you get to this menu with Kale, you can talk to him, you can do recommendations. He offers a couple different dialogue options, and we'll explore those in a second, but this is where the real benefit of killing the Grafted Scion comes in. Because we got that 3,000 and something runes boost in the beginning, we can buy some of this stuff without feeling bad about it. We don't have to buy any armor or anything like that because, again, we start with just killer equipment with the Confessor. Like, this armor and the shield we have is going to carry us through a significant portion of the game. But you can buy important things like the crafting kit, which allows you to actually craft items in your menu, which I'll explain all of that. And then these cracked pots. I recommend buying all 3 of those as soon as you can. These, if you go to the item description on these cookbooks, you can see what they allow you to craft. So you don't have to buy it if you're not interested in crafting bone arrows that are fletched, or bone bolts. And same with this one. If you're not interested in buying glowstones or creating the invigorating cured meat or invigorating white cured meat, don't buy it. And same with this one. If you don't want to make a holy water pot or a roped holy water pot, don't buy it. It's all good. We are going to buy a torch. It's a super important item. I never buy the monocle. Well, I call it the monocle because of Bloodborne. God, this game is all the best Souls games smashed together in one. I promise you I'm going to keep doing that. The telescope. I don't normally buy this on any playthrough, but I'm going to buy it because I'm going to use it to point out different situations that'll help give you guys good visuals on what and what not to do in certain places of the game. We are going to buy every single one of these, though. These little notes are awesome. They might seem just like a waste of a couple hundred runes, but no. If you buy these and you read them in the item description, they can often lead you to secrets that you would never have found had you not read them. So now, we're going to do about Kale.
I am of a nomadic people, selling wares as I travel. The land has been tainted by madness since the shattering of the Elden Ring. It's only tarnished like yourself, who keep things from drying up entirely. Let's say you're a very welcome customer.
So that's an interesting thing to say. I find it really cool how in every single one of these games, even starting with Demon Souls back in the day, when you get thrown into the world of the game, everybody you talk to has already experienced whatever destroyed the world that you're in, or whatever created the hell that you're fighting against. Like, all the people, the merchants, the NPCs, they lived through whatever turned this place into what it is now. And it's really cool to see their perspective on it. So you can also sell things to this guy, and something I highly recommend doing is selling this damn shield. Like, especially if you don't really need it. Like, I don't need it, and I don't think it's particularly good for anything, because it's super heavy, and we're going to get a much, much better shield than this anyway, once we're ready to ditch the Blue Crest heater. So I'm going to sell this guy. And that's just going to give us a 200 soul boost. Soul. Rune.
Nice to do business.
And he's like green. He really does look like the Grinch when he was dressed in Santa's outfit. I think that's really humorous. The nomadic merchants, there's going to be a ton of them in this game, and we're going to talk to every single one of them. And here's his little donkey. Okay. So, let's take a look at these things we bought. They're always going to be on the very last page. So if you buy these notes or letters or whatever, if you come across them either by looting across the world or buying them from merchants, you start on this very first page here, just hit your left button, your L1 or whatever it is on Xbox or PC. It's going to be on your last tab, and you can just hit left one time to get to it. And then you just hit the description button. So this one says, a flask of wondrous physique still remains in the Third Church of America, north of the Mistwood. Cross the highway bridge and follow the animal trail north. That's an important piece of information. It's not dire for us because I knew that was there, but if you're new to this game, you wouldn't have, and this is a great note to follow because that's an important item that we're really, really going to need. And this one says, someone lurks among the waypoint ruins on the roads through Limgrave. So we're going to have to go check that out. But before we do anything with either of those notes, let's just kind of take in our surroundings. Without looking at the map, by just using our eyeballs and really taking in the surroundings, we know that way up here, northwest of us, which you have your cardinal directions in the top of the screen all the time, northwest of us we have Stormvale. That is essentially our first, you need to go there and do this type place. And I like how it's literally turning like dusk right before our eyes. That is so cool, man. Like we're watching the day and night cycle in real time. We have Stormvale out that way, which is going to be the last thing on our list to do once we're done with this chunk of Limgrave. And we are essentially at the edge of one of the maps, because if I run out onto this side of the Church of LA, we have the ocean out here. And then we've got some ruins out there. Now that there is the Dragon Church on that island, and that's going to be of significance. We're going to go there pretty soon in the playthrough. And then you've got what looks to be sunken ships out there. And the only wildlife that you really have through here is you have these goats that, like, roll. They do this, like, roly-poly thing. It's kind of weird. Well, they're not doing it, but whatever. It's only because I said they do. And then you've got these birds, like these eagle-looking creatures that usually sit on these rocks out near cliff sides. And then you've got these materials that you can gather, these little red berries, these roa fruits. Those are not important to us just yet, but they will be. And then you have these weird, like, I don't know, those look like the squirrels that you see hopping across the ground in Australia or something. I don't know what they're called. But that's about all you find as far as wildlife goes. And killing these creatures... Of course they didn't drop anything. Alright, let's try. Let's kill one of these things so I can actually show you what I'm talking about. Oh, come here. You know you're not going to get away from me. Don't even. There we go. Thin Beast Bones. This is kind of an important item in the beginning because if you buy the cookbook that allows you to create the arrows, which I'm going to go do right now, you're going to be killing a lot of these things because their bones are important. As messed up as that is, to kill things for their bones, trust me, it's a regular part of what you're going to be doing. Because arrows are super duper important. So I'm going to buy this guy, the one that has the bone arrows. And I'm not going to worry about these, because that's a lot of souls / runes. And we're not going to worry about it just this second. But we do want the ability to make arrows. So right here, this main road that you see, or dirt path rather, this is going to lead us to our first map fragment, and before we end this video, that's what we're going to go do. We're going to cleave through some of these guys. Let me grab this flower real quick. The Erd Leaf Flower. That's a craftable item as well. It's mainly used for creating a PvP, well, multiplayer item. So, like I said, the Godric Soldier, these are going to be like your very first enemy in the game. I'm not sure why they wanted that to be a boss, but it is what it is. They're no challenge. We can cleave right through them. And we're going to collect some of the row of fruit, not all of them, but we will grab some as we see them, because these are going to be what we feed Torrent, our mount. I'm a huge fan of the stealth aspect in this game. Did anybody else see that? Is it just me, or was there debris falling from the sky? Well, alright. Anyway, that's a boar next to him. Those can be aggressive at times, so I don't recommend aggroing a boar and an enemy at the same time. It could end badly. But we are going to go over here and look at these shinies for a second. We're going to talk about these. So these are ruin fragments. I'm going to pick up this one. And we're also going to pick up these ones. So ruin fragments, it's material used for crafting. You notice it has an A scaling in strength and a C scaling in dexterity. Stone fragment found near places where ruins have fallen from the sky. Can be used for crafting or simply for throwing at enemies. These shards of stone are believed to have once been part of a temple in the sky. They glow with a faint light from within. I have never seen scaling on a throwing item until this game. Like these kukris, they scale with an S in dexterity and an A in strength. If you have a significant amount of either of those stats, or both of them, you will do a shit ton of damage with these. Not so much these, but these guys, yes. So we're going to equip these because we don't have a bow or any kind of ranged attack, and pulling is incredibly important in this game. Ah, yes, a wonderful topic I was excited to explore. So that is a scarab. There are 4 different kinds of them in this game, and they are all important. I'm going to explain them to you as we come across them, and not all at once right now, because I'm not trying to put you guys to sleep. But just know that it is incredibly smart to sneak up on these guys. Crouch down, and get up behind them. I want to pick this up, by the way. Gold-tinged excrement. That is a less common item that you definitely want. I highly recommend positioning yourself in a way to where you will chase them towards a wall, because if they run over a cliff or into a group of enemies, you are fucked. So lock on, start running, and just lay into them with your strong attacks or whatever you got, you know? And if they run straight into a wall, that's how you get them. Now that guy was red, and the significance of that is you kill a red scarab, and he will give you 1 flask of Crimson Tears, which will heal your HP. And again, I will make sure to cover the other colors as we encounter them. And the best way to know that you are near one is the faint glimmering sound. It'll sound like crystals or glass shards falling. It's very distinct. Here's what I'm going to do. Just to make this easy, I'm going to get rid of that because that's my torrent button. I have decided the down button will be my telescope. Alright. So this is exactly what I wanted to use this item for. It's working out perfectly. So this encampment here is flooded with enemies. You've got spear and great shield guys. Who's near me? Bats. That's who's near me. Okay, gotta go. Alright. Let's look from a safe distance while we're proned. I really don't want to mess with the bats right now because they're not necessarily savage adversaries, but they're complete pains in the ass, especially in numbers. So I'm going to stay proned as not to aggro them. Oh shit, I can't prone. That sucks. Alright, I just got to be quick then. This encampment is flooded with enemies. You have to be very strategic when navigating through here, especially at nighttime if you've got bats, which that's when the bats show up, is nighttime. But you've got Godric soldiers with everything from spears to torches and shields. You have a Godric knight that you can see patrolling back there, the big guy walking with the spear and the shield. Get the fuck away from me, man. These guys are seriously ruining my mojo. Oh, a deer. Damn it. We do have a Stake America right here. If you do die to the bats, or if you die fighting your way through the Godric soldiers, you can always spawn right here at Stake America. Plenty of room for error. Anyway, that is what we're interested in. We want to get to this pillar over here because that's where the map fragment is. And that's what we're going to do before we end this video. I usually like to try to keep these like less than an hour, but I'm having a blast. Work with me. Alright. I can try to pull like maybe one bat. There we go. Yeah, I only did 1 damage. It's terrible. Alright, shield up. Oh, they die in like 2 hits. These guys are weak. So I'm going to show you the difference here. Watch this. That thing did 1 damage. Are you ready for this? What do you see this kukri? Look at that. It basically killed him. And I'm not going to waste another one because the bats are weak. We can take them. Oh, except for the grab. Oh. Alright, maybe I'll waste one. Oh my god, I missed. There we go. Only because the bats are super annoying. Okay. Yeah, the grab attack sucks. You can see it a million miles away, but like, it still sucks. So we have a developer message here. A chamber lies under the ruins. And don't worry, we'll get to see the chamber. So here's how I recommend doing this. I recommend not fighting any of those guys. Not a one. I recommend you run as fast as you can over to this grace. So grab this guy here. This grace is called the Gatefront. It is a very important grace to have. And this is why.
Greetings, traveler from beyond the fog. I am Melina. I offer you an accord.
I love Hondas.
Have you heard of the Finger Maidens? They serve the 2 fingers, offering guidance and aid to the tarnished. But you, I am afraid, are maidenless. I can play the role of maiden, turning runes into strength to aid you in your search for the Elden Ring. You need only take me with you to the foot of the Erd Tree.
Sure, let's go.
Settled. Summon me by grace to turn runes into strength. Ah, Another matter. I bequeath to you this ring.
The Spectral Steed Whistle.
Use it to traverse great distances. It will summon a spectral steed named Torrent. Torrent has chosen you. Treat him with respect.
Alright, so Melina has given us Torrent, which is super important. It's the most important part of the beginning of the game. And Melina also gives you the ability to level up at the Grace now. And we can also upgrade our flasks, we can look at our spells, and we can sort through our inventory.
Shall I turn your runes to strength? Let my hand rest upon you. For but a moment, share them with me.
The nice thing about this is you don't have to use Melina to upgrade with runes every single time. Kind of like Demon Souls or Dark Souls 2. You can just level up at the Grace, like Dark Souls 1, the way you level up at a bonfire. So she's not required to level up from now on, but she's here for it right now. I'm just going to do 1 point of dexterity, and we'll get enough runes to level up one more time so we can use our golden ornament sword. And there she goes. So the other important feature I want to point out is the pastime feature. It may seem silly, but it's a very important feature because night or daytime determines lots of events in this game. It will determine if certain enemies show up. It will determine if certain NPCs will show up. It's very important. And I'm going to show you guys lots of events that are daytime and nighttime specific over the course of this playthrough. So what we're going to do is we're going to kill a couple of these guys. And what I would really like to do is I would love to find a glowing skull so I can level up one more time, but that'll have to wait. Let's get rid of this guy. Easy peasy. Sneak up and stab him. And we're going to loot this chest. This is the Lord's Sworn Greatsword. It's perfect starting weapon for a lot of different builds. I'm not going to use it, but I'm just letting you know, right out of the gate, that it's a pretty good weapon to have in the beginning of the game. Like, as far as the choices that the game gives you and what weapons you want to use, it's decent. And look, do you see us? We're glowing. You'll notice right there, below my stamina bar up top, the green bar, there's a 4-fingered foul foot with an arrow pointing up. That's because of what's happening right now. These gold petals that are falling at nighttime, we're getting increased runes for killing the enemies right now. It's a very overlooked passive effect in the game. And you don't get such a huge, crazy bonus that it'll, like, double your intake or break your playthrough. This guy's not having any of my shit. Don't matter, though. Alright, and then we'll kill this other clown that's patrolling. We'll wait for him to come back through. Take care of the spear guy in the meantime. So I'm creeping through these guys just to get these 2 chests, and just for the sake of getting a couple extra runes, because I want to level up one more time before I end this video. And we got the flail. The flail is such a cool weapon. Now, I'm going to show it off for you guys. You're going to see it's really damn cool. We don't have the dexterity for it yet. Man, see, I like this build. I like this I like this gameplay that goes with this build and this visual. I'm telling you, starting as the Confessor, being this like kind of sneaky, assassin-y sort of paladin. I'm telling you, I'm going to have a ton of fun on this character. There's going to be lots of role-playing. It's going to be great. So let's level up one more time. We'll go with our dexterity. So we now have enough dexterity to use the sword that we toughed out the boss for. And you'll notice it has less base damage and less scaling than our current weapon, but it's got a higher crit rate. It's got 110 critical versus 100, so our backstabs and our ripostes are going to do significantly more damage. But we have the ability to power stance. It's also a lighter weapon, so you'll see what I mean. Oh yeah, our backstab damage went up quite a bit. We're good. And we have the ability to power stance now, so we're going to have some fun with these swords. But, alright, I think this is a really decent place to stop. We are going to clear this encampment next time, and I'll grab the map fragment in the next episode. We'll talk about the map and stuff then, but it's going to be quite some time before we deal with any of that bullshit and go into Stormvale. Like, I'm probably going to clear probably most of, if not all, the dungeons that are on this side of Limgrave, just to make sure that we get everything before we confront Margit and start progressing through our first Legacy dungeon. But I hope you guys learned something in this first episode. I hope you guys are looking forward to this series, because I'm very excited to play through this game and share my thoughts. And I'm excited to see what you guys think of my build and the way I progress through the game. So let me know in the comments, what are you looking forward to in this playthrough? What are you excited to hear me talk about? What bosses are you excited to watch me get stomped by? I want to hear all of it. So thank you guys so much for joining me on the first episode of my in-depth playthrough of Elden Ring. I've been your faithful host, Let's Play Dark Souls HD, and I will catch all of you guys in the next episode.